My name is Dirk Charlson. I'm a statewide extension educator for University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And today I'm going to talk about how you can map your world using a drone. Just a little bit of background on me. So I have been working with drones for over a decade in the agriculture and urban management sectors. So I just want to piggyback off of what Nestle shared with you. I just have a project that I worked with GreenSight. Matthew Can is the PI on this particular project. Just want to introduce it to you. If this is something you might be interested in learning more about, please send me an email. I'll provide my contact information again at the end of the presentation. So basically, real quick here, what we did is we looked at a ranch in northern Nebraska, and these drones were small drones that had temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, and other atmospheric data. So basically a weather station with propellers. And these drones were flown over pastures, collecting information. You'll notice on the right there, there's a box, and in that box is a drone. So there were multiple drones, and they were stacked on top of each other. And then they basically came out like a Pez dispenser, went out, did their thing, and then came back. And so what I have an example here is two locations where the temperatures were used to calculate how comfortable that air was for the cattle. What I'd like to do is shift gears from collecting air quality data to talking about remote sensing using imagery. Later today, we're going to talk a little bit about how satellite imagery is used to monitor ranches and feedlots and such. And so you have the satellites, they can collect imagery, and then you can also collect imagery with aircraft, which has been done, since before World War I. And then more recently, in the last decade or so, drones have come on the scene. Another level of remote sensing is at the ground, which we could call proximal sensing. In case you're not sure what remote sensing is our ability to collect characteristics of an object without actually touching it. And so we all do remote sensing. Our eyes are an example of remote sensing where we're able to characterize an object in front of us and determine, what it is just based on its light reflection. So there are multiple platforms that can be used, and we're going to focus on drones, so uncrewed aerial systems. Most of you are probably familiar with the quadcopter. So this is a drone with 4 propellers. There are other quadcopter or rotary wing drones, such as hexacopter, which is 6 propellers, octocopter, which is 8. Prior to the rotary wing, we had fixed wing drones, so your model airplanes. And the advantages of a fixed wing drone is that you could have longer battery life because it doesn't take as much energy for that drone to fly. And then the advantage of the quadcopter is that you can take off and land anywhere. And so these two properties have been combined into a new kind of drone called vertical takeoff and landing. And so this kind of drone takes advantage of the easy takeoff and landing locations, as well as the benefits of energy conservation for your batteries with the fixed wing orientation. A lot of the remote sensing we do involves cameras. I want to talk about what's called spectral. So again, the most common spectral that we use is called RGB, or red, green, blue. And basically this camera picks up those 3 wavelengths of color. Other cameras can pick up other spectra or light. and we call that multispectral. If you look at the camera below that center graph, you can see that there are 6 lenses. Each lens represents a different camera, and each one of those cameras is collecting a specific wavelength of light. So basically, we're measuring 6 wavelengths of light individually. And then we have hyperspectral. And so hyperspectral is when you're measuring thousands of wavelengths, and you get more of a continuous valuation of its color. There are some other wavelengths that we work with that we cannot see. You may be familiar with thermal. So thermal is collecting temperature data. So here is an example of a feedlot. You can see the cows. They're warmer than the pavement. As you can see there is being bright yellow. And then the darker blue is the cooler parts of that. Then we have something called LiDAR, or light detection and ranging. Basically, this camera collects individual points to create 3D imagery. And so you can see there the trees, and you can see the 3-dimensional shape of them. What I want to do for the remainder of this presentation is to show you what you can do with your very own drone. And so we're going to look at what's called RGB photogrammetry. It's fairly simple. You have 3 steps. First step is you have a drone with the RGB camera on it. You program a flight plan. You take it to the field, and that flight plan will be a serpentine pattern across the field. And as that drone follows that path, it will take individual pictures. Those pictures will be overlapped, so it's easier to basically connect those pictures and put them into software, step 3, where we combine them to create what seems to be a single image. We call this an orthomosaic. Multiple types and kinds of software. These are the most common. Most of what I'll show today is from Drone Deploy. There's Pix4D, Agasoft, DJI Terra. So this is a software for DJI drones. And then there's some that are more inexpensive, such as Maps Made Easy. And then there's also an open source software called OpenDroneMap. So here's an example of a crop field where we took hundreds of images and stitched them or combined them together of a pivot. And you can see a lot from the sky, right? So 2 features of this pivot is the tire tracks, which are the concentric circles around the central well, as well as the corners of the field where pivot wasn't able to get water to, and we call that a dry land corner. So looking at one of my family farms in Iowa, we can actually do more than just take a pretty picture. There's data embedded in each image, which includes GPS coordinate as well as elevation. And so the image on the farthest left is just your RGB image. But like I said, with the data embedded in each image, we can actually create an elevation map. And so when you look at that map that's got oranges and blues, so the oranges and red are the highest points in that field, and the blue is the lowest points. Now, the question might be is how accurate is this map? And so you can actually obtain topographic maps or topo map from the USGS. And as you can see, when we combine the drone imagery with the published topo map, they match up really well. Another way that you can use this imagery is to measure surfaces. This is the same field. And so the picture on the right shows flooding. So several amounts of flooding. And of course, the question might be how many acres of that field was affected. And so that's what I've shown here, where we have these three polygons and was able to measure how many acres was affected by that flooding. Two things I want to note here is, first of all, you can use software called Google Earth, which is free. And so once you have your imagery, you can put that into Google Earth and you can make all kinds of measurements like this, which I believe are the next slides. The next slides here show a building site on Central Community College campus here in Hastings, Nebraska. And again, using Google Earth, I place this image into the software and show you how we can make some measurements. So the first measurement here in the blue, this blue circle, represents a tree, and it represents the drip line. And so from those measurements, I'm able to determine that the radius of that drip line is 12 feet. So that tree is 24 feet wide. I have it down as that drip line as being 1/10 of an acre, but we could change it to square feet. So that's an example of measuring trees. The next one with the red line is indicating a turf area. And so that particular area is about 1/2 an acre. The thing that might be most of interest to you is we can measure the perimeter. And so the perimeter of this space is about 660 feet. And with that perimeter, if I want to put a fence up, that tells me how much fencing that I will need to use. The next is looking at the sidewalk. So that's the yellow. And I have a distance from the front door to the parking lot. So we measured it as 143 feet. And then lastly, here with the building, we have a building footprint. And so we can measure not only the perimeter of that, but also how much space that takes. And so this could be very useful to you if you're interested in setting a concrete foundation, or you want to add on to the building and whatnot. So again, these measurements were done in Google Earth Pro, which is free software. Also, what's cool about the drone imagery, so I mentioned that you can create elevation maps. And because of that three-dimensional ability, we can actually look at building sites. And so here's an example of using that same imagery, that 2D image, and be able to model a 3D area. And so in the upper right corner is where the building that we just looked at was located. And we used Drone Deploy software to do that. And then lastly here, what else can you do with imagery? Well, spray drones are becoming more of a thing. And so here's an example of mapping leafy spurge in a field using Pix4D. And so when you first look at the image on the left, there's a lot of green spots, there's a lot of gray spots. And, from here, it's hard to tell what's leafy spurge, what's pasture, what's just open area. And so using this software and using AI, we can actually train the model. You yourself can train the model. It's very easy. And you can select all the leafy spurge. And so that's what's located, or that's what's shown in blue. And then these data can be used to create what we call a prescription map that can then tell a spray drone where it needs to spray. So you don't need to spray the entire field. You just spray where the leafy spurge is at. And that is all I have. There is my contact information.